I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the ending, saith the Lord, which is, and which was, and which is to come, the Almighty. Revelation chapter 1 and verse 8. How majestic this statement is from Christ. In calling himself Alpha and Omega, he is referring to the first and last letters of the Greek alphabet. My personal experience of the early stages of Biblical Greek or Koine Greek is that it is enhancing my spiritual life. From this quote I have a greater sense of the eternality of Christ, the centrality of Christ, the Godhood of Christ, as he transcends time, place, space, and the material world, the God of the past, present, and the future. If Genesis is taken to mean beginning, here's a powerful quote. Jesus is the Alpha and the Omega, the Genesis of the Old and the revelation of the New Testament. Both meet together in Christ. That's taken from SDA Bible Commentary, Volume 6, page 1092, by Ellen White. So he is the starting point of everything, the one who kicked off history, and the one we will encounter when the world as we know it is removed at the end. Jesus, the Bible tells us, created the world in the beginning as part of the Godhead, and it is he who appears to John and identifies himself as the one who is giving the prophecy to him towards the end of the Bible in the book of Revelation. So Jesus has the first and last word in more ways than one. Life begins and ends in him. Truth begins and ends in him. If he is the Alpha and Omega, he is everything else in between, all the other letters. That means he is the building block of the message. In fact, he is the message himself in person for the world. He is the one to focus on, the solution to our needs. Though there is an age-old struggle between good and evil, which manifests in the challenges we find ourselves in from day to day, in spite of this, God is in control, and he will resolve it at the end of time. As we seek to follow in his footsteps, he is the one in whom we must place our trust, so that like him we can become overcomers of hell, death and sin, to have a good ending of our personal stories, and to experience the positive resolution to the history of the world in times to come. In fact, as the Alpha and the Omega, he is everything. Aside from him, nothing matters. There is nothing else of importance unless it relates to God, the beginning and ending of all things. The world which God created in perfection in the beginning, when all was beautiful before sin came into the world, will have a coherent ending. Then, as the Alpha, he will recreate the heavens and earth again for you and I. He is in control. We are in good hands. I found these to be sweet, comforting reflections, which I could let run on for a very long time. No wonder God's word says that he will keep those in perfect peace whose minds are focused upon him. At first I was going to call this video It's All Greek to Me because of the newness of learning Koine Greek, and it felt a bit overwhelming. But since having these positive experiences where I am learning more about the one who is Alpha and Omega, I will give it this name instead, as I believe Jesus will be with me at the start and end of my quest week. Some other reasons why I'm learning Koine Greek and why I intend to make these videos are: I have to learn it for my theology course starting this September. So I would like to make a head start now, because when the course begins I will also have to learn Biblical Hebrew. I started to learn Koine Greek recently in the library and forgot straight away when I became busy doing other things. I'm hoping recording videos will help me keep up the momentum in making progress. When I added learning Koine Greek to my Facebook page, it became an event automatically. So gathering information and explaining to others is a good way of learning. Audios and visuals will also help the knowledge stick in my mind. As I browsed for features of the language, I saw terms like genitive, nominative, and dative I had no clue about. I was taught very little grammar at school and presumed teaching grammar was out of favour whilst I was there. As an English speaker, I am somewhat spoilt also because so many people speak English around the world. So paying attention to myself learning a language will give me greater empathy and understanding of the needs of students which I teach English to and other subjects. I'm not promising those who watch will learn Koine Greek, but I'm hoping some learning and sharing will take place and anyone who watches will get something out of it. Perhaps you can leave comments, additions, corrections, questions which someone else will answer, even if I can't. I do not subscribe to the view that the Bible, or the books of any other religious faiths for that matter, have to be read in the original language in order for us all to understand them. Because realistically speaking, there are factors such as time, distractions, perhaps learning languages not being everyone's strength, or perhaps the quality of teaching, as most of us know the difference a good teacher makes, that will cause some to never become proficient in learning another language. This has posed a problem in different religions and points in history because leaders who have themselves been misled or those who are unscrupulous can teach error easily, telling followers the scriptures say things which they do not, or perhaps even deliberately manipulating people to believe what they want them to believe. This is a form of control which existed heavily in Europe in the Dark Ages. For me, saying we have to learn the language to know the Bible is like saying we should all be wearing robes to be like first century believers. But would that change our standing in our relationship with God or make us more spiritual? One act involved in bringing the Dark Ages to an end during the Protestant Reformation was simple, yet perhaps the most powerful act of all during this period. It was simply giving people the Bible in their own languages so they could read it for themselves. And I think this is a very important thing for us to be able to do, is read and understand for ourselves what it says in the Bible. Having said this, as I mentioned, my experience so far is great, and I recommend learning Koine Greek or Biblical Greek to anyone who has the opportunity. There is a beauty in reading the Bible as it was written. Sometimes words which have been translated into English have various meanings, and the act of looking up the different possible meanings causes you to pause reflectively on what the Bible is really saying, which I find very uplifting. Here are some more encouragers which may help to build your interest also. As I looked at the letters, there were some which appeared to be like English letters but had totally different names and sounds. This felt like having to learn a friend of yours had a new identity which you were not aware of. There were also extra letters I do not believe I have ever come across before, lambda being one of them, which I originally read as lambada, which made me have to rethink that one. However, I have found learning about the relationship between the English and Greek very useful. In fact, it relates more closely to us today than I realized. I say to my students it is not the names of letters but the sounds they make which is important. But now the Koine Greek alphabet reveals some interesting gems which I feel can help those familiar with English feel more used to it also. I found it reassuring to remember the word familiar from childhood, alphabet, is a word made from the first and second letters of the Greek alphabet, alpha and beta. Here is a screenshot of the top of my screen whilst I was preparing this, in which you can spot some Greek letters. So many of the letters are used to this day. For example, they are also to be found in science, technical fields, and maths, such as for types of radiation, alpha, beta, and gamma, and another very well-known symbol is pi. They are also in the NATO phonetic alphabet, which has been used by the forces, emergency workers, and telephone operatives to spell words clearly. Foxtrot for F, X-ray for X, etc. While alpha and delta are also from Greek. Ancient civilizations are still influencing us. I'm becoming more auditory and visual, looking for patterns and associations to help me remember. Again, whilst reading the letter names, I noticed letters chi and rho for their historical significance. A form of Greek alphabet influenced that of the Romans, who used the letters chi and rho as a monogram or a person's initials created artistically with intertwined letters. The chi rho is made up of the letters chi, pronounced k, and rho, pronounced r, the first letters of Christ's name. This monogram goes back to the 4th century, when ambitious Roman Emperor Constantine the Great was looking for a connection to a god who would give him supernatural power so his battles would be successful. Constantine's vision, in which he heard a voice saying, "In this sign conquer," is a well-known pivotal moment in history. Although accounts differ as to whether Constantine saw the chi rho monogram during the vision or developed it later, it is a sign he adopted and had placed on Roman battle equipment. As this is a monogram of the name of Christ, it is also called a Christogram. This has been used in the art and architecture of Roman Christians, Catholics, and others also. I wonder how world and church history would have developed differently without Constantine's vision. Although some mourn the amalgamation between pagan Roman beliefs and Christian worship which happened when the emperor of the Roman Empire adopted Christianity as the religion of the state, Constantine did go on to achieve his aims. Therefore, the Roman chi-rho Christogram can be seen as a symbol of the union between the church and the state, which started then. Do these elements really go together? What do you think? I found this fascinating. Next, iota, the smallest letter of the Greek alphabet, is a word still known in the modern British language today, and it means the smallest of amounts. This example, which has filtered down to modern days, again caused me to get a fleeting impression of how strong the influence of Greco-Roman culture must have been on the day-to-day lives of the people of Europe. It became jot in modern English, from the biblical Hebrew word yod. People still say not an iota, or jot down, in other words, write something quickly. A related Roman word is tittle, the smallest mark with a meaning in a language, such as the dot of an I or an accent. These words represent the smallest of amounts. In this light, this quote speaks for itself. As we have seen, the Koine Greek, which at first seemed like something from far away and long ago, still relates to us today, so not so foreign after all, or at least it no longer feels that way to me. This was my introduction and a quick tour of some features of interest I have learned about Greek so far, along with some of the alphabet and reflections. You're welcome to join in with my journey to see what we can share and learn. I'm now feeling more motivated, and I hope this has been of interest to you also. Thank you for watching and listening.